It's day 8 of the Three Rivers Challenge, where you eat what you have for your pantry in the months of January and February. I've got 2 of my little grandkids here. They're wanting eggs this morning, so I'm going to put eggs in this pan, and that's what's for breakfast. They like these kind of eggs, and they like them runny in the middle. I'm going to make a cup of tea this morning. I got this Secret Garden Christmas morning black tea. I've still got my sausages cooking in here. They're well cooked. I think I'll have a sausage for breakfast. I got my water boiling here. I'm just going to make some of these Daniel Boone yellow corn grits, stone ground. We got it at the Red Mill General Store. So I'm just boiling the water. I'm going to make a little bit of those for my breakfast, and then I'll put a sausage on the side. I just got to bring this water to a boil and add 1/4 cup of grits and about 1/4 or 1/2 teaspoonful of salt. My grits have done, of course I tasted them to make sure they were the right texture and that they were done. I'm going to put some here in my little snowman bowl. I absolutely love grits. And I especially love these Daniel Boone yellow corn grits. They're stone ground, so they're a little thicker than the grits that you probably would buy in the store. I'm going to go ahead and put them in my bowl here. So I got them all. I just made enough for 1 serving. And that's what I'm going to have. I thought I'd put a sausage on it, but you know, I think this will probably be enough this morning. I got my tea made. It's steeped and ready to drink in my little heart cup today. I'm going to sit down in here and have breakfast. You got a whole SeaWorld in there?
What?
Have you got a whole SeaWorld in there?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I'm going to leave you to it and let you play.
Okay.
I've got one grandchild in there watching a movie, and I've got one in there playing in the sink. He's got a SeaWorld building in there. And I'm just in here enjoying my breakfast. Actually, it's 1 o'clock. If you can see the clock, it's 1 o'clock. So it's not really breakfast. Let's just say I skipped breakfast and I'm having lunch. So I'm going to have my lunch. They've already eaten. One had waffles and one had eggs. And so it's just a beautiful sunny morning. All the snow has mainly melted. If I can show you a little bit from the window over here. The sun's just streaming in the window and it's wonderful. It's a beautiful day. There's a few patches of snow here or there. Most of it's gone, and this sun feels glorious. It is a gloriously beautiful day. Oh my goodness, this is delicious. It's a wonderful lunch. Now you can use butter to season this. I used bacon grease, and it is so good. I'm enjoying it this morning. It's like a real treat. It's almost like a dessert. It's so good to me. It was such a good lunch. Well, it started out as breakfast, but it ended up being lunch. And my tea's really good this morning too. Now my window, you know, I don't know if you've noticed it, but we have a window unit and we don't have a central air unit, and that's by choice. We like to just heat or cool the rooms that we're in. We don't want a whole unit cooling the whole house. It's just not the way we function. So we've still got window units, and then of course we have the heat in each room too, and that's what we use. Well, anyway, where I've got the window unit, we're going to have to take that out and clean the window in between. I noticed when I was looking at the snow that there's a little mildew that's built up in between the two windows, so that's a job for a day. Of course, I can't lift that air conditioner out myself, so Donald's going to have to do that. So that'll be another thing I'll have to add to the list when we have a day's work. But I love the way the light streams in these windows when I sit here to eat. It's just so pretty. It's just so pretty to have the sun come in and be able to enjoy that. Of course, my little grandson, he is playing with these Legos, and he's in there in another world. He's got the sink full of water, and he's got scuba divers and little sea animals that he made from Legos, and they're all in there in their own little sea world in the bathroom. But I did finish lunch here, and I'm going to clean up after that. And of course, I'll have to start thinking about what we're going to have for supper. Today's the 10th of January, and we're still doing the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. So I made a big pot of chicken noodle soup yesterday. I didn't get to film on the 9th because things were hectic. I had the grandkids here, and I just wasn't able to get a lot of filming done. But I did make a big pot of homemade chicken soup, and you know, I've made that before on my channel, so there's a video on how I make homemade chicken soup, and that's what we ate yesterday. And today it's really cold out here, and there's just a little bit of snow lingering around. And of course, that's an old wives' tale where I come from the Appalachian Mountains, and it says whenever you've got snow that just lingers around like this, that means more's coming. It's waiting on some more. And it might be right, because they're calling for plenty of snow today. We've got all the little patches laying around waiting on the next snow. I've been getting, you know, all the information about the snow coming today. So we'll just have to see what we get. We'll just have to see how much snow comes today. But they're expecting a big storm, and hey, I gotta take the information that I get, right? I've got the soup. I pulled it out. I'm gonna heat it up today, the chicken noodle soup. We'll have that. I'll have that for lunch, maybe even breakfast. And I'll also have it for supper today. So I may make some homemade bread, depending on how the day goes. I don't have any kiddos today. I don't want to have any kids because school's been called off and everybody's at home expecting a big snowstorm. So I'm just here in the house by myself, and I have some solitude, a very rare thing, so I'm going to enjoy it today. I've already made a cup of tea, and of course it's been the tea that I've been using a lot lately, and that's that Secret Garden Christmas morning black tea. That's what I made this morning. That's what I got in here infusing. So I've got my mug of tea here. I wanted it to be warm and infused when I got in from outside, just looking around a little bit. It says teach, inspire, and repeat. So I like this cup. It's a big red cup, and it's probably a teacher's cup, but hey, I think we're always teaching somebody or learning something, don't you? So I'm in here with some time on my hands, and you know what I like to do when I have some time on my hands. I love to read my books, and I'm going through a few books right now, and so I can finish some of them. These are two books that I'm reading. This is The Works of His Hands, A Scientist's Journey from Atheism to Faith. So I've got this here by Cy Garte, and he's a PhD. So I'm reading that. This one's a little bit of, it's not a real easy read. So I didn't want to read it when the kids and stuff were around. I want to just be able to read that when I had quiet. And of course, I read this book before, The Man Who Moved a Mountain by Richard C. Davids. And of course, it's about the Appalachian Mountains. And of course, I've shared with you before, this has some family in it. But this, I've read this several times, and it's just a book I enjoy. So I'm going to read this as real light reading. I can read this in, just a couple hours. This one here is taken, it's been a little bit harder to read, but it's good. I've enjoyed it. I've got a few magazines that I want to look through, and of course I've got a ton of books, and especially cookbooks that I can certainly find books to fill my time today. So I may actually get some reading done today. Of course, there's a lot of work that always needs to be done around here. There's always a work list of things to catch up on. I threw a load of laundry in the washer and got a load of laundry out of the dryer. So I'll be doing, stuff like that you have to do all the time anyway. I'll be doing that today as long as we don't lose power. We did not lose power the last time. We don't lose power a lot here. We've lived here for a long time and only lost power maybe 2 or 3 times that I can count. So it's just not a place that we lose power a lot, and that's a good thing. But if we do lose power, we're prepared for that because, you never know. Sometimes the ice can get so heavy that it just weighs down the power lines, and it brings down trees by the roots that take out the power lines. That's how it works around here. That's why so many people lose power. If you wonder why do they always worry about losing power, that's why. There's a lot going on today as far as, just a lot going on in the world that we could certainly pray for people. And still praying for the people up in western North Carolina, up in the mountains that are dealing with the loss of their homes, and there's still people in tents. You may not hear that, but can you imagine living in a tent in the way the weather is right now? I can't imagine it. It's cold up there anyway. I can't imagine being in a tent up there as cold as it gets, even though I've been in some houses that were too well ventilated and it actually snowed in them. I can't imagine being in a house, in a tent. But always things to pray for and to keep in mind. So I'll be doing that. We'll be eating the chicken noodle soup. Those grits were so good, but I try to limit carbohydrates in my diet, so I won't have those every day, but I could go for some of those today. I may make something, maybe some chicken and grits or something like that. Just fry a few pieces of chicken and then make a side of grits for Donald for supper if he doesn't want soup. Sometimes I could eat soup all the time, but sometimes he needs a break from it. He says, can we have something solid? So if he doesn't want soup tonight, then I will make him maybe something more stable, something else that he wants. But it'll just be something out of the pantry. We're eating out of the pantry for the 2 months. And of course, this is just the 10th of January, so it's only been 10 days eating out of the pantry. So that's a little over a week, and that's a piece of cake. It'll still be the same way at the end of the challenge because, we eat basically the same way. We eat out of the pantry anyway. And I try to eat as much of that food that I've put up and everything out of the pantry because I put it up for a reason. I don't want to waste it. But I've got a couple of recipes that are probably traditional recipes everybody knows how to make coming up. But it's just the kind of things that we eat. It's the way we eat. Of course, this is good chilly weather, good soup and chilly weather. Oh my goodness, it's the best time to eat soup when it's cold outside and warm inside, and that bowl of good warm soup warms you up. It's just so good. Of course, we eat soup year-round. I love soup. But we'll especially be eating a lot of it here in the months of January and February. But there's a lot of different kinds of soup. There's a soup for everybody, and fulfilling and warm and delicious. Well, I'm going to get a drink of my tea here and see if it's cooled down any. It probably hadn't. I boiled the water, you know, on the stove with the tea kettle instead of a little electric tea kettle. I just didn't want to drag that thing out today. It is so good. I'm going to miss this tea if I can't find it after this holiday, because that tea is really good. Now, it's by the Secret Garden, and it's the breakfast tea, the breakfast black tea. But I added a clove. I've been adding a clove to my tea in the mornings. And some of the teas already have clove in them, but every day I've been adding one little clove to my tea just to help some things going on. And I think that this tea with that little piece of clove in it is delicious. It's an excellent choice. Just wanted to show you what we were eating today, what was going on the last few days. On the food front, you know, just basically chicken noodle soup. I got it in there heating up right now. Now this is slightly different from most chicken soup I make because I added tomatoes. I don't know why, but in the soups lately, well, we've had a lot of cream soups like oyster stew and the gnocchi soup, and I guess I've just wanted some acid like from the tomatoes, so I added a can of tomato sauce into my soup. It is chicken noodle soup. It does have tomato sauce in there, and I've let it warm up and boil down, so I don't have a lot of liquid in. I may have to add another can of chicken broth from my pantry. But this is my lunch. Of course, Donald will add more salt and more pepper to his, but I'm going to try mine just like it is. I've got my soup here. I'm going to let it cool off a little bit. It is piping hot, but it looks delicious. I was talking about my books earlier. And right here is something I just really like. This, The Man Who Moved a Mountain. This has got some stories in here that just bring back such memories to me from the mountains. And it's funny. It's got a section in there. It's about Christmas. You know, people were all back in the mountains and they were poor and they were trying to do something nice for them. And they had a guy that dressed up like a Santa Claus, and I think this preacher here was with him. And they went to take a couple that had a lot of kids back into the mountains. They went up there to take them some gifts and everything. Well, the woman came out, and when she saw the man that was dressed like Santa Claus, you know, had that beard and everything on, she just passed out on the porch. And they went to help her and went up there and asked her what was going on. And she said she thought that man dressed like a Santa Claus was a haint. And I can remember Mama calling them haints. Yeah, and that means a ghost. That means a ghost, you know, that's what a haint is. But she thought that her dead husband had came back, his ghost, and was bringing Christmas gifts. That story makes me laugh every time I read it. And it just tickles me because it just brings back some things, some of the things in there. And I don't think they're even trying. It's just genuinely how it was. Whoever wrote this book just genuinely wrote how it was when they were writing this book, and it just brought back such, I don't know, such good kind of thoughts and everything about from the Appalachian Mountains. That's one of the reasons I enjoy this book as much as I do. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go and eat my soup. Thank you for joining me today, and let me share days 8 and 10 with you. 9 was squeezed in there. I didn't show anything about day 9, but I assure you we were eating leftovers that day. I love to do the Every Bit Counts challenge and eat out of the pantry, but you know, I shared in the beginning that we just eat a lot of leftovers. I make a lot of big pots of stuff and we eat it until it's gone. So, and I feel like sometimes things are redundant, but people don't seem to mind. They say, just show it anyway. So that's what I've been trying to do with you. I'm glad that you're here, that you're interested in the Three Rivers Challenge and the Three Rivers Challenge. She also does another challenge I always want to lump it in with. But this is the Three Rivers Challenge. And it is a pantry challenge. And I enjoy it. Thank you for letting me share a few details of other things with you. I hope that you're having a great and a wonderful, safe day. And like always, until next time. My windowsill warmer